Now, I've already given my view on the Michael Jackson biopic, and I have changed my mind in a way. I decided not to talk about this in a short. I thought I'd do more of an in-depth video because you kind of try and cram everything in 3 minutes. And I think with Michael's life, I don't think you can do that. So first of all, what qualifies me to be able to have an opinion? Apart from the fact that I can. But I think opinion that people can potentially listen to in a debate or whatever. Let me explain. So I am 50... How old am I? 53 this year. So I'm 53 this year. And believe it or not, I first got into Michael Jackson when I was about 3.5. I used to go to dancing and things like that. And I got into Michael Jackson at that age. I used to like beg for Mickey Jicky to be played and what have you. And then obviously became, I think, more of an obsessed fan as I got a little bit older and teenager. I always loved him, always got, music. I remember making, me and my mum and dad, God rest his soul, went with some family friends to Knaresborough. And we stayed in a caravan, and I'll never forget this. And they had released Thriller, and I stood outside of Woolworths in Knaresborough, and I got there about 7 o'clock in the morning because I was convinced that there was going to be loads of fans there and I wouldn't be able to get the LP. That's how old it was. So I went there about 7 o'clock in the morning because I was desperate to get the Thriller album on release. So I was always kind of like obsessed with him. And then obviously when I got to my teenage years and hormones kicked in, which I wish they would now because I'm bloody menopause, I'm losing them all now. My hormones are all over, but that's a different video, my lovelies. So hormones started kicking in, and that's when the kind of a real obsession started, like a really badly, where, I can't explain how obsessed I was. Put it this way, even 50 years on, well, no, it'll not be 50 years on since I left school. I'm not that old. It'll be I left in 1990, left senior school. So we're going back 36 years now. If I bump into anybody, and unfortunately, my best friend passed away in April, and a lot of old school friends were at the funeral, and everyone was coming up and going, "Are you still a Michael Jackson fan? That's all I remember, you being a Michael Jackson fan." And I'm like, yeah, I'm probably more obsessed now. So it became a huge part of my life, and this is how bad I am. I've never ever touched a can of Pepsi, and won't touch a can of Pepsi since the allegations and the dropping. Never touched it. I'd rather thirst. And it's going to be the same with Netflix now for me. I will never, ever watch a Netflix program again. So it's just the obsession. And I think all the real big obsessed fans out there will kind of know what I'm talking about. So got through the teens years. First time I ever went to see this man was in 1988. 1987, 88. God, I'm sure I am. I've got my tickets. I've still got all my tickets. And I had this conversation with somebody not so long ago. And every single concert that I went to, whether it be the Bad Tour, whether it be the Dangerous Tour, whether it was the History Tour, it was indescribable. It was phenomenal. It was just, I just, there is no words to describe it, okay? But that first time I ever saw him, the first time, which is the Bad Tour, which is obviously the beginning and the ending of the movie. So it really, really sparked something in me, because I will never forget the euphoric feeling that I got on that red hot July day. And I'll never forget when I visually saw him in front of me. Bear in mind, I had idolised him for, I think I was 14 or 15. I think I was 14, nearly 15 that year. I'd idolised this man, and also in the latter couple of years, I had started having like hot feelings for him. How could you know? He was flipping gorgeous. And there he was in front of me. And if I could bottle right now that euphoric feeling that I got, I remember just running through my head thinking, I'm breathing the same air. I'm breathing the same air as this man. And it just blew me away. And every song that came, I was like, this is my favourite song. I was crying and screaming. And yet, out of all of the songs in the tour, of the Bad tour, on that first one I ever saw, the one that I don't know why, but now I absolutely love it. I didn't not love it before, because I haven't got a bad song about Michael, but was Heartbreak Hotel, which has now been changed to This Place Hotel. But honestly, and I just remember him. We walked in the sun, and I just and the dance, and I was watching it, and I was remembering the beats and the chucking of the fireworks, and it wowed me. It just blew me away. Absolutely blew me away. I mean, the whole concert did. But for some reason, that song sticks in my brain, and seeing Jennifer Batten, playing on the guitar with her white hair, and Sheryl Crow was there, and she was the backing singer. I remember her with the big curly white hair, not white hair, sorry, like blonde, hair. No, she wasn't blonde, but she was like a mousy blonde, and it was so curly, and she had highlights. It was typical kind of 80s, she must have had 3 cans of hairspray on it. And I remember it like yesterday. And I'll never ever forget that feeling. I've never had a feeling since like that. And it's bizarre, even, and this sounds really bad, but even like when I've had my children and things like that, I've just never got that feeling since. So anyway, and I've just carried on, and loving them, and yes, I go to all the vigils. Yes, I'm with everybody with boards and shouting Michael is innocent, and when he's in Santa Barbara, and yes, so I'm a huge fan, like as in a besotted fan. So that's, I think, what gives me the right to, not the right, but just to kind of give quite a good, and I hope knowledgeable, opinion. So on my last video, I had said that I thought the movie was brilliant. I still stand by that. I think the actors were phenomenal in it, like absolutely phenomenal, down to Catherine, the brothers, obviously Joe, down to kind of Don King. You even had not Michael Myers. Hey, honestly, this brain, you know who I mean. Anyway. So you had all these, you had all these fantastic actors playing these characters. They were all brilliant, and a massive, massive special shout out to Jafar, because he just captured Michael, I think, like nobody else ever has and ever will, apart from obviously with Michael. So I had said that I'd wish that they had delved into a lot more of his childhood, and a lot more of the reason why he becomes such that sensitive and misunderstood soul. And I am a believer. I believe Michael was innocent. I never use the words, I know Michael was innocent, because nobody can know. Nobody in this world, apart from those alleged victims, or from Michael himself. They are the only ones that will ever know. We will not ever know for sure. But I genuinely believe that Michael was innocent. Now, I'm an ex-probation service officer, so I can kind of put quite a good legal head on, and I can look in between the lines and things like that. I still stand by the saying that, and I have it like pretty much banners all over my social media, is that facts don't lie, people do lie, and I still stand by that. Again, it's my belief. Don't jump on me if you don't think Michael was innocent, and that's your choice. That is entirely your choice. Me and you can't be friends, but that is your choice, and you're entitled to your opinion. But kind of working in the legal system like I did not want to worship, because I do. I did not want to worship somebody who potentially I thought could do that to children. So I have done hundreds and hundreds of hours of research. Now, I'm not just talking about the sensationalised stuff. I'm not talking about the papers, what they write, because if you strip the what papers, class as entertainment, which was just, in my opinion, was just dragging Michael to his death. That's my belief. Again, don't jump on me. I am entitled to my opinion. So I stripped everything back. I looked at court records, because you can get them all online. I looked into evidence that was used within the court. It wasn't, I genuinely, maybe I don't know, looking back, maybe subconsciously, probably I am a little bit biased, of course, when somebody's your hero for that long, of course you're. But I genuinely put my head on and was like, right, come on, let's have a look at these facts. Is there anything in there that makes me go, ooh? But then there's a reason behind it, the things, that personal things that I'm not even going to go into, because I just, even though he's not here, it's degrading for him. But all those awful things that came out in court, but then I would see what the arguing case was of it and think, well, yeah, that could happen. That does make sense. They probably maybe did find, well, they did. They found some pornographic adult magazines. Now, when I say pornographic, I'm talking about just dirty top shelf magazines. Basically, they found some of them in Michael's room. And let's face it, as much as weird as a lot of the people think he was out there, he was human, and men have thoughts and men have needs, and so he's like any probably 20 and 30 and 40-year-old man likes to have a little relief, and that was probably it. And and then it was, and they knew exactly where they were, because they had said that Michael had shown them. However, when I've looked at the arguing case, which I can genuinely think, yeah, that might have happened. So again, it was beyond reasonable doubt. Is that obviously the kids were allowed to play in Michael's room, even when he wasn't there, because that's how much he really trusted and loved them. And they've obviously been scurrying around his room and probably found a couple of dirty mags, and then put them back and laughed about it, not said anything, but then used that. Now, that was the kind of argument against it. Well, is that believable? Yeah, definitely. Does it, doesn't, but then you've got to look at the flip side of it, and all the things that, the Arvizos, which is the family that, lied up in court, is when you look at the history of the family, and when you look at the how she's tried to scam other celebrities, and the mother, that is, it's quite an eye-opener, and you do go, oh God, yeah, it is there in plain sight that they've had him over. They've manipulated him, and they've done it. They've gone in for his weak spot, which is children. And when I say children, it's like me. I call myself, like, at work, I'm called the child whisperer, right? Because whenever there's a child come in, I'm there, I'm playing with them. I'm more interested in the child than selling their mum and dad a car. you know, just to give you an example, I've got like a wall behind my desk. It's like a big white wall. And what I do is I sit and I draw pictures with the children, and then I'll put their ages on, their names on, and I've got this lovely wall behind us, which is full of kids' drawings. And like, people will say to me, would you sleep with kids? Do you know what? Looking back, I did. As in, so I would have Harley, then I would have my best friend's daughter, Lois. I would then have maybe Ellie, who is my other best friend's daughter. I'd probably have somebody else's daughter, no doubt, because I'd loved kids even back then. And we all used to jump in my double bed, and we all used to snuggle in, and we all used to watch cartoons. And next thing I knew, I'd wake up, it was 4 o'clock in the morning, and the 5 would be sprawled all over the room in the bed. Now, would you immediately go, well, you're a pedophile? Because there's nothing sexual in it. That doesn't even enter one's mind. You know, and I think it was the same for him. That's my opinion. Before you all jump on into it, it's not normal for a man at that age to sleep with boys and girls and whatever. That's fine, but I just look at it because I've done it in the past. And it's been great because I've loved playing with the kids. And like I say, I would have the mums and dads would be downstairs. I'll have cooked, this is the God's honest truth, I would have cooked maybe a 3-course meal for like all my friends and their partners, and would have had dinner and stuff like that. It would have been great. Then I would have disappeared and asked any of my friends. Then I would disappear upstairs and I'd be upstairs all night playing with the kids. Does that make sense? Do you know what I mean? I'm going to have to mute that on now. But yes. So I have done back to the reason why I'm changing my mind. So I've done all the research. I genuinely, I can't say that word, from the bottom of my heart, believe Michael was innocent. And until somebody can show me proof that he isn't, that's my opinion. So, as I said, I originally had said that for all the haters out there and for all the people who kind of didn't understand why Michael did all that, you know, I would have liked them to have gone in a bit more depth to help those people understand and maybe give them the other side of the argument and then let them make their minds up. And then I thought, no, this film wasn't made for the haters. It was made for the fans like us. And at the end of the day, I have heard enough to last me a lifetime about Michael Jackson. And do you know what? I don't want it kind of uprooted all again and given people like the Casio family or whatever they're called, the platform to be able to come up and try and make a few million bucks. That's my opinion anyway. So, which they've done anyway. So yes, I love the movie. Yes, I'm so pleased I went to see it. I think it was 12 or 13 times I went to see it, I think. Yes, I am so happy with the movie because it's for the fans, and at the end of the day, I think it has proven itself because of the records that it's smashing. And can I understand why Paris and I think it's just Paris and Janet don't want anything to do with it? Yeah, because I can see that flip side as well. But I think if us fans keep it real and see it for what it is, just a celebration of Michael's music, because the music in it is fantastic. I went to see it in IMAX. It's the first time I've ever been to an IMAX cinema, and it was like I was back in that euphoric moment when I was 14 years old and seeing him for the very, very first time. Just the beat that just rips through my body. It's like the beat of you being at a concert. So, yeah, I'm still going to say I love the movie. And up the haters.